Alright, Goomy Gang, it's officially time to talk about slugs on the Lockwood 680. I'm always talking about the Lockwood 680, but this time it's a little bit different because we're talking slugs. And slugs are, of course, really hard to use, but incredibly rewarding. And with this particular shotgun, slugs are probably the best they've been in a long time, probably since the combat shotgun with its one-shot headshot capabilities. Yeah, it's looking pretty good right about now if you're a fan of shotgun slugs. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into it. And of course, timestamps will be below in the description if you want to hop to the class or certain parts of the video, so just keep that in mind. As always, if you don't know what slugs are, they're basically one solid projectile, so your shotgun goes from shooting a bunch of little pellets to dealing one single solid projectile that can travel a lot further, and if you shoot up in the sky with it, you'll see it just flies. I mean, it's basically just like a little mini sniper rifle for all intents and purposes. So here we have the damage profile for slugs in Warzone 3. As you can tell, it looks pretty similar to what it is in Modern Warfare 3, and it basically is, with the exception that headshots don't deal over 300 damage in that first range. It's basically capped at 295, so womp womp. You can't deal a one-shot headshot. Kind of sad, but not a huge deal, because to me, the really cool thing is that out to that 7.9 meter mark, you can actually kill in 2 shots if you hit stomach or chest. This is a huge deal because for some reason, the Bryson shotguns only do 120 and 130. In my opinion, that's an oversight, which means it's not enough to 2-shot kill, which made the buckshot version of the gun so much better than slugs, which even if you could aim with the slugs, they were just so bad, why would you use them? But in this case, this is the damage profile we want to see. I wish that it would one-shot headshot, but this is such a great start, and honestly, these numbers are almost perfect. I would say that these are super good. You can maybe boost that second range a little bit, definitely make it a one-shot headshot, but these numbers, in my opinion, are so close to being the most perfect slug shotgun we've had in Warzone in so long, since the combat shotgun, in my opinion. So with this 7.9 meter 2-shot stomach and up, as long as you don't hit arms or legs, that means that slugs basically have a better 2-shot stomach shots than the base gun, which is really nice to see. Now, I do think Dragon's Breath goes a little bit further, but there's sort of a burn and the damage is a little awkward and it doesn't always count as a 2-shot. So in my opinion, honestly, slugs have the best 2-shot capability now, which is how it should be. I don't understand why it's just so hard to make it like this, but I'm glad to see that the devs understand that this is important and that they need to make it to where this thing has a better 2-shot because it's so much damn harder to use than the base gun and pretty much any other gun out there in the game. I mean, slugs on this thing can be really hard to use. Now, I'm going to share with you guys a class that I found to be really, really good, and there's always a few different ways you can run this. This is just a recommendation. You guys can tweak this as you see fit, but there's some general guidelines to follow. So first off, we're using the Bryson Hammer Forged barrel. Since we don't get pellets, that 10 pellet barrel doesn't really matter to us, so we're going to use the one that gives us the most range, which also helps our aim down sight speed, which is really, really important for a shotgun where you have to aim down sights with this. Then we're rocking the Express Lipel, again that's mandatory, as well as 12 gauge slugs, and the other attachments we can kind of get around working with other ones. So the VLK 7 milliwatt and the DR6 hand stop I'm using because you get a little bit better mobility and a little bit better aim down sight speed. But at the same time, we're not rocking no stock or the sawed-off stock mod because it tends to make the iron sights really finicky. Like if you're moving and strafing left and right, you'll notice that the point of the sight gets covered up when you shift left and right, which can be really frustrating if you're trying to hit your shots cleanly. It's okay if you're going to stop and kind of just quick scope someone. It's not really that big of a deal. You could definitely swap that out for the DR6 hand stop if you want more mobility and aim down sight speed, but this is sort of the most safe route to go because also with the VLK 7 milliwatt laser, you also get really great aiming stability, which is really nice to actually line up your shots correctly. Now, there is a better laser than this one if you want to get a little bit better aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed, and that is the Kimura RAL 33, but it's a laser light, and the light and the laser are pretty much always on with this big green beam, which a lot of people don't really like, myself included, so I just opt for the 7 milliwatt, so it's only visible when you're actually aiming down sights and not when you're just kind of walking around hip firing with this thing, which, by the way, do not hip fire or tac stance with slugs. It's not going to go well for you. If you want even better mobility, just swap out that DR6 hand stop for the skeletonized guard. It won't give you any more aim down sight speed, but you'll have a lot better of a movement speed, which is also really good since you're going to be moving around quite a bit. And with this kind of gun, you're probably going to want to shoot, and just like with the normal shotguns, kind of weave in and out and kind of get into cover and slide and then get your second shot off. So movement speed is also very important, but in my opinion, it's good to have a very stable and steady shot as well as having a good aim down sight speed. But again, you can tweak this as you see fit. Now, because these are slugs and we're inevitably going to get people that want to like sort of quick scope with this thing or put a scope on it, luckily you can do that with this shotgun because it carries damage so well with headshots. I mean, you can basically two-shot headshot out to whatever range you can. It's just incredibly hard to hit two headshots for a few different reasons we'll go over later. But if you want to, you can use a scope. And if you're going to go for really long range shots, I would recommend using a laser. And also I would recommend using the Bryson choke because that's going to condense the sort of bloom that slugs tend to have, which isn't really super noticeable up close. But if you're going for super long range shots, the Bryson choke is probably a good attachment to consider using because it's going to help condense that aim down sights bloom, like I said, or that kind of random projectile spread that shotgun slugs tend to have quite a bit of. Now, like I said, it is hard to use these things. Of course, you have to aim down sights. It's a solid projectile. It's like using a close range sniper rifle. But not only that, it's a lot harder to do because these things do not have a great bullet velocity. They don't travel very fast. They travel fast enough up close to make them kind of work, but you'll still get weird inconsistency where you feel like you should have hit that person, but they didn't get hit for some reason. And this also kind of plays into the fact that there's a little bit of bloom. It's not terrible up close, like I said, but further distances, you will definitely notice some aim down sights bloom. The big problem is probably a combination of having a really slow projectile speed, as well as having a little bit of aim down sights bloom, which make it really difficult to be consistent with this thing. So you have to be on your A game. Now, as for my overall thoughts on this shotgun slug setup, I think it's such a great step in the right direction. I love to see that they're boosting the damage numbers for not just headshots, but for body shots. Like, it's time that we realize that these things are so hard to use. You need to be getting better two-shot ranges than buckshot. You just need to. It's so much better this way, and I really like how they did it with this particular gun. I would honestly just say, though, if you can, make it one-shot headshot out to at least its first damage range, maybe even its first drop-off. Maybe just keep it in the max damage range for now if you were to buff that up. But if sniper rifles and marksman rifles can one-shot headshot at any time in this game's life cycle, slugs definitely need to be able to do it, and this one is no exception. It needs to have a one-shot headshot. But like I said, this is a massive step in the right direction, and this is one of the best slug shotguns we've had in so long. Unfortunately, though, like I said, it's incredibly hard to use. I've had such cartoony moments where I'm jumping around and shooting people, and I'll miss like 4 shots in a row and just shoot a silhouette of slugs around the character's outline. It's ridiculous. Sometimes it's just really hard to use. You got to be warmed up. You got to be on your A game. If you like quick scoping, if you're really good with these type of weapons, you're going to find this thing is very, very good. But honestly, most people are probably going to struggle to use this and just die a bunch of times. I know I have. I have to get in the groove with it and warm up and just kind of be in the zone when I use this thing. It is not for the faint of heart, but if you have the patience, if you have the aim for it, or just want to get really good with the fun yet rewarding gun, this is the setup you want to use, trust me. And guys, that is just about going to do it for this video, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. But now, as always, I want to know down below in the comments your thoughts on the video. How do you feel about slugs on this shotgun? Are you as excited about them as I am? Do you think they could still use a little bit of love? Do you think that they're actually kind of overpowered, which I would be insane to think that, but let me know down below in the comments, and as always, I will see you in the next video.